Not too familiar with roguelike games. How would you describe one? Okay. If anyone's new here from GTA especially, or for the past couple months, you should know that my brain, my heart, and soul is devoted to just roguelikes. There was this game a long time ago on the computer called Rogue. Now, all games up until this point were simple, like Pong, or an adventure game where it's very linear. You go through, maybe there's some choices in dialogue to make, but you know, it's all very linear and normal. Nothing you do really affected gameplay that much, right? You're just going through it in a line. There were some choose your own adventure games, but those were text-based, you know? So Rogue was this game. The reason why this style of game is called a roguelike is because Rogue was the progenitor. This is a version of Rogue. Wow. So look, every dot in there is a space you can move in. Those things are rooms. Those symbols are things you can interact with. Sometimes a symbol would be a thing you would pick up, like an item. Sometimes a symbol would be a fight. And basically, originally they did this with ASCII. So I just used normal computer characters to do it. So the difference is, yes, this was all procedurally generated, which games were not really at the time. And then you would go through these rooms and you would kill a thing, pick up an upgrade or an item, and hold on to it, and then move to the next room. And this style of game didn't really exist at the time. So this was the first game to be doing this, right? So anything that does that, right? It's these different rooms. It's procedurally generated. The different route you go through is like, again, that itself, not just the rooms themselves, but the route you go through. All this is generated. This was what Rogue did differently. So any games that were really doing this after that were considered roguelikes. That's what the genre became. So a roguelike, like with a K, means it's very similar to this. It is procedurally generated. You're moving through these rooms. You pick a door. You go right or you go left or whatever. You know, you go through it, pick up upgrades, and keep going. Roguelike. Every run was a completely new one. Yeah, there was permadeath. When you started a new run, you did not keep anything from the old run. The only thing you had was some game knowledge, right? Roguelike. Roguelite is a newer version of the genre nowadays because people have built on this so much and changed it so much that they started doing things like, for example, games like Hades, where you do a run, you start with whatever weapon, and you die. But you keep some currency from that run to put into permanent upgrades for yourself. So the next run you do, you have that upgrade starting. Now, because that is not a completely fresh wipe, yeah, you've got some progression now actually sticking to your character beyond just game knowledge. That becomes a roguelite. Right? And then a lot of other changes to the style of gameplay and how upgrades work, whatever, that really go far from this original concept here, makes it a roguelite in a lot of ways. Yeah, Vampire Survivors is a good one. Some games it's just unlocks, but other times it's more than an unlock. You actually like find things faster or something like that, right? You have like a permanent stat upgrade in some way, or you start with a different starting weapon now. Those become roguelites. And most people, there are a lot of differences, but the major things that people will say is roguelike has no perma progression at all. Roguelite does in some way, usually. That's how most people like to do the distinction. I feel like that's really similar, like, or a really easy way to do it. I in my brain, I'm like, well, there are other nuances, but like, I don't think it's worth arguing. Like, it makes sense where it's just really the perma progression thing that matters most. But yeah, that's like the TLDR, the quick rundown of the roguelike lore. That's why those two words exist. You know.